Welcome back to the Gopher Pregame Show.
Thanks for staying with us here on the Gopher Pregame Show. A man to my left now who doesn't need much of an introduction. Friend of the show, the punter himself, Mark Crawford, back with us for another go-around. What's up, man? How are you?
Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be back. Yearly tradition. Here we are.
It's always a pleasure to have you, rest assured. Now, you and I were kind of joking off camera. Are you sure you don't have any other years of eligibility left? Is this it?
This is it.
This is the last round that you're going to have on the Gopher Pregame Show.
Correct.
It's a sad but true story, but I mean, all good things must come to an end.
Bittersweet.
It is bittersweet, but you know, moving on, you are always welcome back on the show anytime you want.
Thank you. I'll be back.
I'm sure he'll be back. You guys are coming off the bye week. Got some rest, but before the bye week, you guys were in UCLA. You get a big win over the Bruins. 2 straight wins for you guys now. Walk me through what it was like, especially it got tense late in the game against the Bruins. What was it like walking off the field with a win?
Tremendous.
Yeah.
It was elite. It was really good. Yeah. I think at halftime it was a bit of a reality check in terms of just making sure that we were all on the right page. And I remember going into the locker room and thinking, we've been in this situation before. Nebraska, I think it was Nebraska 2022. We were down 10-0 at halftime.
Yeah.
Came back, burst out of the blocks in the second half, and we managed to pull it together, and that was a pretty big moment. We always had belief, and it was just one of those things where we just needed it to click, and it happened pretty quickly. I think by halfway through the third quarter, we were up. So to make it work was elite.
I overheard PJ Fleck talking about how he went into the locker room at the half and had a little bit more of a spirited message than he normally does. Was that true? What can you share with us in terms of what the message was at halftime of that game?
It was spirited. It was spirited. It was passionate. It really just emphasized, though, that, you know, we got to believe. It seemed like there might have been a few guys that weren't really sure like what was happening and going on, but we all just had to sort of believe that we can do it, and that went to every position group. I think, you know, as specialists, we could have played better in the first half. Defense, I'm sure, wouldn't have wanted to give up any points. No defense wants to give up any points. And then offense, you know, we hadn't put points on the board. So we all knew that if we all elevate ourselves a little bit, we'll get it working, and that's what happened in the second half.
Did the message resonate?
Apparently it worked.
Yeah.
Apparently it worked.
Seemed like it did. And you had a week off. You guys have won 2 in a row. So now you're 4-3 overall in the season. You're 2-2 in conference. 5 games left here in the regular season. So much football left ahead of you. But what's the mood like of the team now, knowing that you guys have kind of starting to get things going here a little bit? Yeah,
belief. The belief is certainly there. I mean, we always knew that we were a team that could pull wins together and score quickly and defend well and flip the field and things like that. So I guess the North Carolina loss was a tough one, and then a couple of good games after that, and then we had a couple of games that sort of came down to the wire again, and it was one of those ones where, you know, you could look at it and be 5-1, but everyone knows that you can't be like, oh, we could have been 5-1. It's one of those things where you got to win the close games as well, and making sure that, you know, if we put the little things together a little bit better, then those one-possession games will go in our favour, and that's what's happened. And here we are, 4-3, and let's make it 9-3, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Hey,
let's start with 5-3 against Maryland.
I fully understand where your head's at, no doubt about it. You mentioned a couple of things there just a moment ago that I want to talk about. Flipping the field, 1-score games. I mean, as a specialist, a punter, you guys have played in a handful of 1-score games this season. It's very likely you'll be involved in another one at some point throughout the rest of the season. For yourself as a punter, when you're in those tight ball games, does the pressure mount for you at all in order to flip the field and try to get, you know, to help your team? How do you feel in those tight situations when it comes to what you have to do for your team?
Obviously, you want to flip the field as much as you can, but it certainly becomes more situational. I mean, for us, you know, if we're down by a couple of points and we're going out to punt, you know, we want to gain as much field position as you can, and you probably think that the opposition is thinking, let's just get the ball back. Like, we just want the ball back. And then there's other situations where, you know, we might be winning and they might be doing everything to either set up a big return, or they might just want the ball back again, or they might try and block it. So there's a lot of different situations that you got to be aware of, and that's what film study's for, and finding out tendencies of teams, and that's why we sit in Coach League's office and we analyze the game to a T.
Yeah, and in a situation where you're up, let's say it's a 1-score game, maybe it's 3, maybe it's 7 late in the game, and you're pinned in your own deep in your own territory, you know they're going to be coming after you. How does that change the mentality for you, knowing you got to get that ball off just a hair of a second faster?
I mean, it's a strange one because we always like to put ourselves in those situations during practice, and especially being around this team for, this is my 5th year now, being able to understand what it takes in certain situations and just making sure that I execute at the level that the expectation is and that what we want. And I don't really think it's any more stressful or any more important than the last punt, but it's a point in the game that could be remembered a little bit differently. But other than that, it's the same function.
We need to talk about Dragan Kesic, friend of yours.
Absolutely.
Also another friend of the show. He had an absolutely monster year last year.
Yeah.
This year, it's been a little up and down with him.
Yep.
You guys are close. What do you say to him? How have things been going with him in order to keep his mind level-headed and know that, he's still that same guy that he was last year?
Yeah, I mean, he's got a really good head on his shoulders in general. So I think that's a good start. He's a professional when it comes to analysing the film and sort of making sure that he puts himself in the best position to go and perform. We've looked at a lot of things in terms of, what might have changed and things like that. Really, I mean, if you look at it, a lot of his kicks were close in last year, especially early on in the year, and I think that can also make a difference. You just get a couple away early and then you're sort of on the up and up. And then we've been in a lot of situations, especially early on in the year, where there were some deep kicks, and not every kicker is going to make them from 50 plus, right?
Sure, yeah.
So
no, it's tough.
So then looking at it like that, and then making sure that he's always going to be ready to put himself in the right position. And personally, optimistic guy. So every single time I'd put him out there. I'm not thinking, I'm not sure. I'll make sure that, if the ball's there to be kicked, I'm going to get the hold down for him and he's going to swing through it, and there it is.
Sometimes, we see it in baseball all the time. Sometimes hitters go through a little bit of a slump and then they dig themselves out of it. Are you confident he'll be able to dig himself out of it?
100%.
When the time here at Minnesota is over,
Yep.
What is next for Mr. Mark Crawford?
Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows, honestly. So I want to make sure that I finish my degree. I'll finish my Masters in May. I'd love to keep playing football wherever that is. It'd be a really cool opportunity to keep playing. I always tell guys, and especially myself being a little bit older, I can't be 40 years old and think, I might go back and play some football again. Nope, that's not an option, right? So it's either now or never, and I'm going to do whatever I can to make sure that I give myself an opportunity to go to the next level, whether that's here, whether that's in Canada, whatever. And then outside of that, if I'm not doing anything football related, I'll have a couple of degrees, and I'll make sure that I want to stay in the States a little bit longer. So I'd love to work and see what happens.
We would love to see you stay in the States. We would love to see you continue to play football. Selfishly, I would love to see you continue playing football.
Yep.
Not just because I love watching you play football, but because eventually you're going to be taking my job. So you please stay in football as long as you like, Craw. We really, hey, it's always a pleasure to have you.
Appreciate it.
Best of luck. Best
Thanks
of
very
health the
much.
rest of the way.
Yep.
I'm sad this is potentially the last time we're doing this, but who knows? Maybe we'll have him again one day.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mark Crawford. Hey, stay with us.